Hey,
Welcome.
how are you?
I'm good. Happy to see you and to
Yeah,
be having this
me
conversation.
too. I'm excited.
Yay. Awesome. How are you feeling?
I'm good. I feel good. I This has been a huge part of my healing journey, and I talk to everybody about it. So I'm excited to share um, as much as I can.
Awesome. Yeah, we're so grateful to you for sharing and all of our clients for coming on this channel and sharing. I really love having these conversations. Every client story can be so different, and yours is really unique, and you speak to it so beautifully on your channel. So, yeah,
Thank you.
stoked to have you. And yeah. On that note, would love to start there. And could you share a bit about your kind of what prompted you on the overall healing journey and where Mindbloom came into play for you?
Yeah, so 3 years ago in January 2021, I lost my mom to suicide, and that catapulted me into just like a deep healing journey because, um, of course, grief is immense and huge and like radically changes your life. And I didn't have the right outlets to like really go deep and like know how to process that and manage that in my life. So I found an incredible therapist, and I've been with her for 3 years. And she actually recommended ketamine therapy to me. It started out just because I was having really bad panic attacks, like in my sleep. Um, and I wasn't sleeping very well, and she had done ketamine therapy previously. So when she recommended it, I just really dove into searching about it and doing as much research as I could, and then found a ton of different companies that were offering this, and I just really resonated with Mindbloom and the founder's story, and I just felt very aligned and pulled with you guys. So went on a bunch of calls and met a bunch of people and just felt like this was perfect for me and started. The thing that was most attractive to me was that it was remote and at home because I, one, was kind of scared of the experience, didn't really know what to do. And like as a single mom, I couldn't see that I would be able to like find time in my life to like drive to a clinic and go through this whole thing and like not know how I would feel and respond and react afterwards, and then have to like be a mom and like life after that. So it was really attractive how remote it was at home and like simple the experience would be to do myself. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's so huge for so many of our clients, myself
Yeah,
included. Like having that flexibility to do it at home while also having that support on the other end should
yeah,
you need anything.
for
It's
sure. And
huge.
just in a safe space that I've like created for myself was, I think, really helpful.
Mm, totally. Yeah. And so, in one of our previous conversations, you mentioned that ketamine therapy has really supported you in rediscovering parts of yourself, both parts, that were existent before the grief and the transition, and also new parts. So, I'm curious to hear a bit more about that. Like, what were the parts of yourself you discovered or
Yeah.
rediscovered?
So I had been on this journey of grief and like figuring out who I was and, self discovery since my mom's passing. And I will say my first ketamine session was November 29th of 2023. And the trajectory of my life after that session and how much more confidence I gained and like knowing that I was on the right path, I would say I will attribute to ketamine, because I had been doing all these different modalities and like throwing things at the wall, just like hoping they would stick. And it was like I felt it in my heart that those things were right, but it wasn't providing like honestly the neural pathways to change the way that I believed things. Um, and so there was always this like heart connection to like what I was doing, but like so much programming from where I had grown up, heavily involved in the church, that was like not allowing my subconscious to like really accept it. I think for me was like the biggest thing. And so once that happened, it was like I experienced something completely solely just me. Like the ketamine helped me get there, but I wasn't taking in all of this information that I had previously believed. And like being confused. It was like the ketamine aligned my brain with my heart, and I was able to like really embody what I was trying so long to do for the last 3 years.
Mm.
And then from there, it just like everything after was just, I felt it on a cellular way, like from head to toe. Everything that I was doing was like, this is right, this is right. Like, we're not doubting things anymore. And then just as you get into ketamine therapy, the days that would follow, I could just feel that alignment afterwards. Like it wasn't just because I did a session and then like an hour later I was feeling good. Like it continuously flowed through my body and just changed, I think, a lot of the rewiring that I had been doing consciously and physically. And then this took it to a really deep level.
Mm. Yeah, that's really powerful to hear. And that's a pretty common experience with our clients too, of like doing all this work, all this therapy, all these other practices and tools. And then, working with ketamine therapy, really finding that kind of like amplification of those practices, or like the embodiment of those
Yeah.
practices. I heard you say that you were thinking about them a lot and you were like, you felt them on some level, but then like moving through the ketamine therapy, it really helped ground it into your
Yes.
reality and make it a new way of being versus
Yes,
a
for
practice.
sure.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
that's huge. We, we talk about the reason behind that a lot, neuroplasticity, and we have this phrase of, neurons that fire together, wire together, or wire together, fire together. Either way, right? And I know that that really inspired you in your journey and in your work, and you created this kind of rewire process for your clients to practice that. Could you share a bit more about what you learned through your own experiences of neuroplasticity and how you created that program?
Yeah, I think because I had been doing so much work previously, um, and I was opening my mind to new possibilities and new modalities and ways of living, and I was really just focused on changing my lifestyle first. That really helped gain like safety and confidence in my body and my heart to like know I resonate with this. I'm not scared of this. These things don't, they're not rooted in fear. Like I have followed my intuition so far. It was just, um, and then I was getting into a lot of like rewiring with NLP and being an integrative psychology practitioner with that. I think the two together just was huge. And so my clients, they're all now interested in ketamine therapy because we were doing in the process, the rewired process, the deep steps that come first to like have that almost instant change that I felt with ketamine. I It helped a lot for sure with like anxiety and depression symptoms and that. But I think the rewired process, what I'm doing with clients, was the 3 years of things that I've been so deep in before that led to this like really deep shift. That was almost immediate once I started ketamine. So there's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot of like, nervous system regulation and shadow work and inner child and all that integration and really just gaining confidence in who you are, um, and then learning to rewire your old programmings from wherever those have come from, on a conscious level, and then implementing ways to like really get deep into the subconscious, which ketamine really helps with that.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So, what are some of the ways in which you rewired your mind? Or, in other words, like, how has your perception of the world around you, of yourself, shifted, and what have you accomplished since?
Yeah, it sounds so cliche, but this world is brighter and like happier and more joyful. And I feel like for me growing up, with a mother that battled her mental illness her whole life, and it eventually, took her life. I didn't know how much of that affected me when she was alive, like growing up with her and like embodying those things. And so that just really, uh, that was how I viewed the world. And after her death, I needed to like, I couldn't live like that, or I saw myself going down the same dark path. And I knew that I had always had this power and like gift within me. I just didn't, the ways in which I was involved in certain things weren't conducive to like an empowerment state, I think, to like really live that out and feel it within myself. And so I would say power and like belief and confidence and like not living this life of like zombie world where I'm just like waking up and doing all the things, but like knowing how to tune deep into like who I am to my core, not just this like external life that everyone is living and seeing, and like really living aligned with my truer self and like finding who that is, because I lived my life really abandoning who I was in the name of like needing validation and love from other people.
Mm.
Um, and now I have that solely in me. Like I don't need to believe that from external. I'm not like outsourcing my power anymore. Like it's like within me. So yeah.
I love it. Thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that. That feels really powerful. Just that this process has, helped you return to yourself and, find your own inner healer from within. And that's what we really believe. Like ketamine is a catalyst for that, of creating the container for us to just connect back with
Yeah.
ourselves and find that joy and that confidence and that
Yes.
love from within.
Yeah, it is definitely, I wish I could make a video and like a movie like trailer of who I was like the day before ketamine and like NLP and all the things to who I am now. Like it is just almost like I shapeshifted. It's wild. It's like I was able to shed so much of the world that I carried that wasn't mine to carry. And I think I battled a lot of anxiety and depression my whole life, like feeling torn in two different like experiences and bodies and like wanting something deeper and connected to something, but it was all like being filtered through what everyone else wanted me to do and not knowing who I was. Um, and doing the work for so long, for 3 years of figuring out who I was, and then like it came at the perfect time. Like it was just like you said, the catalyst of like just deep, immense change. And I tell everyone about it. I'm like, I get like if you're scared of psychedelics and you're worried about like some crazy bad experience, I've had those. This is not that. It is so soft and gentle and beautiful. And even if I've had sessions where I've gone into them after like maybe not being in the best mental space, you don't come out of it worse. Like, and that was huge for me. I worried like I need this because I'm in a bad space some days, and if it's going to feed the bad space and like where I'm at emotionally, then that's not helpful. I need it brings like joy and light and like purpose to wherever you're at in like a way that you just can't consciously get there on.
Mm.
It's like an out of this world experience that is like fueled with the highest intention of love and like purpose for who you are.
Mm. That's
Thank
beautifully said. It
you.
makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. I kind of view ketamine as this medicine that creates expansion, like more possibility, and from that space we really have more choice in the
Yeah.
matter. When we're experiencing the experience of deep anxiety, deep depression, deep grief, like it can be really hard to see options and choice and
Yeah.
space. And yeah, I'm hearing that come through in your share. Like you had these expansive experiences and you're kind of like, okay, who do I want to be? Like, how do I want to live?
Mm-hmm.
And you really like chose that for
Yeah.
yourself. which is
Choice
huge.
is huge. I think when you can get into this like ownership state, um, whether people want to call it toxic positivity, which I hate that phrase, um, there's just, if we're going to choose anything, choose positivity, right? So when you step into this state of like, this is mine, I can change this and fix this, and you own it, then the choices of change are endless. You're not stuck. Um, because I think we live a life where we're so not tapped into who we are, and we're trained to like just follow the rules and like do what has worked for other people, but everything is so different for each individual. And so if you're not knowing who you are at the root, you not, I won't say can't, but the process is going to be a lot longer and harder. And so when paired with something like this that is literally just tailored to you, down to like the pathways that you choose and like the intention that you set when you go into it, like it's all you centered, which I think we don't, society doesn't teach that. We've been taught that like self-care is selfish, and if you're putting you first, you're idolizing yourself. And for me, that's just created a life of abandonment and not knowing who I was, and serving others in the sense of finding my worth. And now I know who I am, so I can serve others in like a completely different capacity, because I don't need the external validation. Like I just know who I am.
Mm, beautiful.
Thank you.
Really letting that sink in, and I'm so grateful that you chose Mindbloom and that you chose this for
Yeah.
yourself, and you're where you're at right now. And speaking of choice, like what do you see for your future? What do you want to choose for the future, and how will you integrate, what you've received from the Mindbloom journey?
Oh, well, I got another 6 sessions, so I will be continuing. Now knowing like where I am, I'm excited to see like what progresses in a completely different intention. Like not, the first six was like, who am I? Finding like this connection and deep purpose, and now I have that, and so like let's go deeper. I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of goals. I think they've all been based around who I was, trying to align with like who I am now. And so now that I embody that, I know that they'll shift and change, but they're still all rooted in like love and purpose and intention to like serve and heal, in the sense of like, I know that I'm a natural born healer and helper just because the role I've, lived my whole life with my mom, but it's shifted to like empowering others to heal themselves, and whatever that looks like, whether I'm just like a resource or a bridge to help them find Mind Bloom. And I'll throw this out there, like I'd love to work with you guys in the sense of like guiding, because that just seeing these transformations is incredible. And I think that's the work I want to do in my life and like the people around me, and just holding space to empower and help people find that within themselves. So um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could talk about that for hours in sense of goals and future pace, but I think it comes to me, and when it's aligned, and I just now I know what's in not what's anxiety and what's intuition, and I can follow the intuition and just let that kind of you know do its thing.
Mm, yes,
Yeah,
love that. Thank you so much for sharing some of your story with us. And yeah, again, just so grateful for you coming on today. And for those of you watching, grateful to all of you for being here, for listening to the story. And Hannah, before we end the call today, is there anything else that you want to share with the
yeah.
folks
I want to
watching?
add. Thank you for asking that, because I was like, dang it, I wanted to
Hmm?
share this last thing. If you're deep in grief, um, and you've lost someone, maybe you've lost yourself, maybe you've lost a loved one and they're actually no longer like here on this earth, or they are and it's been cut off from, just an actual role in your life, whatever that looks like. Grief sucks. It's hard. Um, I think for me, ketamine with my mother gave me these experiences, sessions that I would go into that were focused on like grief and figuring that stuff out, changed so much for me on what life and death means, no matter what you believe in the sense of um, like afterlife. But I'd always heard people feel connected to like their loved one that passed, or like finding safety and peace and in those situations, however that looked. Ketamine for me, like I have so much joy now when I think back on my mom and the loss, and not in a like a way that I'm joyful, but like I'm thankful. I have love. I can like it doesn't send me into like crippling depression days in bed where I like can't get out of bed for days because I'm just going through a grief wave. Like the grief still hits, it still comes. I still have the times that I cry. I'm like, this sucks. Like I can't believe she's not here. Like my human experience can't fathom death, but I can experience on like a level that is not of this world a connection to something to her that has just helped not make death so finite. It's like, oh, I'll never feel her again. And that was something that was really hard for me. Like as I'm a mom, and so like that karmic connection between like mom and daughter, to know that like I would never experience that again in this life felt wrong. There had to be something like more than that. And ketamine has really helped, which this sounds weird, but like develop a relationship on a spiritual level that is like out of this world with her, um, that just brings joy and grief. And again, like if we're gonna experience grief and loss, like find ways to find joy, and they coexist together. Like you're not going to never experience grief again, but why not feel love and joy when you can? So that's my little last nugget.
Hmm. An important nugget it was. Thank you so much for sharing that. And, for anyone experiencing grief, and we have a program at Mindbloom called Navigating Grief. It's specific to that grief process. And like you mentioned, like allowing the grief and allowing the joy and finding a
Yeah.
connection to that loved one and to yourself, really importantly. And yeah, we have integration circles that go along with that too, and really important to have that catered support, I think, when we're going through those
Yes, I
experiences.
think grief can really consume you, in a way that is not healthy. And we're choosing healing, like why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you again, Hannah, so much for sharing your story, for being here, for choosing Mindbloom, for choosing the healing path, and to all of you for listening. Thanks so much for being here. And if you joined a little bit later, you didn't catch the full story, we'll be posting this to our feed afterwards. So feel free to check it out, message us with any questions, and hope you all have a really lovely rest of your days.
Thank you. Add me as a collaborator so it posts to my page as well.
Will do.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.